This is the Iron Will Report for the week ending August 4th. In this week's report, a landmark Alberta court decision finds the COVID mandates illegal. E-bikes are killing their users. A new study proves a link between vaccines and infant mortality. And the real reason why Sophie and Justin have formally announced their separation. Those and 12 more stories that mainstream media won't report and our government doesn't want you to hear. In a landmark decision, Alberta Court of King's Bench Justice Barbara Romaine declared all lockdown measures illegal. In late 2020, a suit was brought against the Alberta government by Rebecca Ingram, a gym owner in Calgary, after her business, along with many others, was shut down. While a very important decision in support of our rights, it's not quite the total victory we could have hoped for. Justice Romaine did not rule the mandates unconstitutional, which means there's nothing to prevent them from happening again. Last year, lawyers for the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms, who have been representing Ms. Ingram, were the first and to date still only lawyers in Canada to bring a public health officer to the stand. After many delaying tactics, in April 2022, then Alberta PHO Dina Hinshaw testified that she only gave advice, and it was the government who issued the mandates. Justice Romaine ruled that as neither then Premier Jason Kenney or his cabinet were medical professionals, they did not have the authority to declare a public health emergency, and therefore the mandates were illegal. This suggests that if Dina Hinshaw had said that the mandates were her decision, Romaine would have upheld them. It was also Justice Romaine who had earlier ruled that the lockdowns were a justifiable violation of our charter rights and they, quote, did more good than harm, despite the fact that the government had produced no comprehensive studies, reports, or data analyzing lockdown harms. With these health orders having been invalidated, it is expected that Crown prosecutors will need to withdraw charges against Ty Northcott, Pastor James Coates of Grace Life Church, Pastor Tim Stevens of Fairview Baptist Church, and a number of others. An Ontario man accused of murder after defending himself and his mother from armed home invaders has had the charges withdrawn. Last February 19th at 5 a.m., Milton resident Ali Mian encountered 5 armed intruders in the home he shares with his mother. A registered gun owner, Mr. Mian exchanged shots with the intruders, 2 of whom had already harmed his mother. In the exchange, one intruder was shot and killed. Police later charged a second man with 1 count of break and enter and 1 count of unauthorized possession of a firearm. After the gunfight, Mian called 911. He was subsequently charged with second-degree murder. Mian's lawyer, Jag Verk, successfully argued that Ali's use of his gun was entirely legal. His intention was not to kill the intruder, said Verk, in a statement who claims his client fired in self-defense. The body of the dead intruder, Alexander Amoroso Leacock, 21, was found with a loaded 9mm handgun. This story is important because our government is trying to make us all unsafe. Police in many cities do nothing while transit violence continues to escalate. Trans protesters assault teenagers and pastors, and police do nothing. And homeowners worry that if they defend themselves and their families from armed intruders, it will be they who go to prison, while the criminals walk free. We must stand in defense of our right to protect ourselves. While carrying a gun in public is illegal, a registered gun for home defense is not. In a story that sums up everything that is wrong with our country, medically assisted suicide has been denied to a gender-confused Alberta man who says transgender surgery changed his life irreversibly. A biological male calling himself Duchess Lois of Alberta announced on July 26 that he had been denied medical assistance in dying. In January, Duchess Lois applied for MAiD, claiming his surgery had sterilized him and irreversibly altered his life. According to Lois, his status as a First Nations Canadian, his sterility, and his identity as a, quote, transsexual woman contributed to his decision to commit suicide. Applicants for state-approved euthanasia in Canada can cite a grievous and irremediable medical condition that produces unbearable physical or mental suffering that cannot be reversed or relieved under conditions that you consider acceptable. Additionally, the doctor confirmed that Lois suffered from a serious, incurable illness, disease, or disability related to genital surgery, which left him in constant pain. Lois' post-operative pain is not unique. According to a recent study on the side effects of radical genital surgery, 81% of those who underwent the procedure in the last 5 years experienced pain simply by moving normally afterward. Additionally, there are many other side effects. We live in a country where the government will pay for your transgender surgery. But when the irreversible surgery leaves you in constant pain, with no hope of that ever changing, you're not a candidate for MAiD, a procedure they are otherwise pushing on anyone with so much as a heart flutter. Statistics Canada reported Thursday that violent crime increased 5% last year, following a 6% increase in 2021. To measure crime rates across Canada, the Crime Severity Index took into account several factors, including the nature and frequency of reported crimes. The crime rate hasn't been this high since 2007 and shows no signs of slowing down. Winnipeg had the highest crime rate, with a 14% spike in violent crime. Only New Brunswick, Yukon, and Nunavut did not see a spike in crime last year. During 2022, homicides and sexual assaults rose significantly, while robberies and extortion rose 15% and 19% respectively. There were 874 homicides last year, an increase of 8% from 2021. Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative leader, has called on the Trudeau government to act and reform Canada's bail system in the face of gun violence and drug-related incidents across the country. We would also get at the root cause of this, which is drugs. We believe that addicts need treatment, rehab, and detox to get them off the drugs. That is the only way to end their cycle of theft, said Poilievre last month. A lot of people are stealing so they can pay for fentanyl and other powerful drugs. The only way to put an end to that is to get them off the drugs. This, of course, is counter to BC's recent legislation which directs police to ignore small quantities of hard drugs for personal use, effectively making possession legal. In all likelihood, BC will only be the first of several provinces in Canada to enact such legislation. As drug use increases, so too will crime. The news items I report are selected on the basis of the degree to which they equip you to understand the threats to your rights and freedoms, and the globalist agendas undermining our country and our society. But every once in a while, I report on something simply because I believe it will be of interest to my fellow Canadians, and I doubt that mainstream media has given it much attention, if any at all. You may soon find yourself without mustard on your hot dog. Saskatchewan produces about half the world's supply of mustard, and drought conditions will lead to a very poor harvest this year. According to the Government of Saskatchewan's weekly crop report, 58% of the mustard crop is rated poor or very poor, with only 13% good. 0% of the crop is ranked excellent. According to agriculture officials, grasshoppers are also hindering the prospects of a bumper crop, along with uncertainties stemming from the collapse of the Black Sea grain deal in Ukraine. And here I thought we were only famous for maple syrup. That is all for this week's free version of the Iron Will Report. If you want to help us spread the truth, please subscribe to our channel, then like and share this video. Social media algorithms promote content based upon how many followers, likes, and shares they get. So please take just a few moments to do that and help us share the truth with others. You can get a full access 15-day trial at ironwillreport.com without providing your credit card information. It only takes a minute, and you will be granted instant access. In this week's members version of the Iron Will Report, e-bikes are killing their customers, the ongoing collapse of our healthcare system, vaccines are proven to result in higher infant mortality, the measles vaccine may do more harm than good, Meta has plans to listen to your conversations, a BC teacher is banned after approaching high school students for sex, a UBC professor wants your kids exposed to adult genitalia, mosquitoes successfully inject a vaccine, detransitioner Chloe Cole gives a moving statement before U.S. lawmakers, the real reason why Sophie and Justice have formally announced their separation, and J.P. Sears reacts to mainstream media claims that exercise is fascist. In interviews coming out this week on Sunday, lawyer Sean Buckley on our government's plans to restrict your access to natural health care products. Then on Wednesday, an in-depth and in-person interview with Pastor Artur Pawlowski and his son Nathaniel. In the most recent event in years of ongoing persecution by the government, Pastor Art has been found guilty by an Alberta court of inciting mischief. His sentencing is Wednesday, August 9th. He could be facing up to 10 years in prison.